So, when I found out I was going to do a documentary in 2 weeks, I kind of decided to stick to a topic I know. I plan to have an academic and thoughtfully executed film about the benefits and downfalls of making music purely on a laptop versus acoustic instruments. Instead, I'm just going to ramble about my general thoughts on the topic for as long as I'm willing to. When I started this project, I was working on 3 other projects, and this topic is big enough where it would probably take me some time to make profound statements on the topic, so I will try not to. Is it better to make music strictly in a digital audio workstation, or is writing music pure analog better? Is there even a discrete line between the two? What do those terms mean? None of those questions will be answered here today. I'm just gonna go and see where it takes me. So once I went to school and learned the basics of recording, I learned a million ways to make music the wrong way that I find really interesting. And more often than not, instead of making those beautiful and clean recordings, I just go down the rabbit hole of vintage recording equipment and just take making things sound way worse than they reasonably should. I feel like I have the mixing knowledge to make a lot of really unorthodox sounds just work in any mix I want. And from my school, I have like the flexibility to make farts and sneezes just slide in the mix in most genres without general audiences even knowing. I think like digital manipulation has gotten so accessible and easy these days, I sometimes get bored with that infinite amount of options I have. In a matter of minutes, I can just go in Ableton or VCV Rack and make a pretty decent sounding thing going on. I've even used Audacity just to challenge myself at how limiting it can be. And yeah, I get bored with just how accessible it is with all the software. Like I typically just hop in my computer and I just start clicking in notes and automations, time signatures and effects with like very little actual keyboard playing. And then I even try to click in notes in a way to sound like I'm playing a real instrument, which is more tedious than like finger drumming or actually just going out and recording the instrument, which I usually know how to play. I don't know why I do. I guess it's because I started off learning without knowing how to play the instrument. Now I know how to play most of the instruments that I'm faking. It's weird. So I usually just, with my drums, for example, I just set up like a kick and a snare thing, click that in, and just add completely random sound effects, which I call like drum beat ramen. Just simple, instant, done. And you can tell a lot about a person from their drum programming. I'd say the rest of me is kind of simple, instant, and done kind of person. For most of my synthesizers, I've even gotten lazy recently, and I just only mess with the cutoff knob for any modulation. So to spice things up, I've decided to, earlier this year, to read the original frequency modulation papers so I can use FM synthesis. Instead of just thinking about just messing with the filter, I'm now using like algorithms, carriers, modulators, envelopes, harmonics, breakpoints, cartridge memory, getting to know the history of the Yamaha DX7, listening to a bunch of tinny marimba noises, getting used to like having that hollowish sound, and getting really frustrated and angry when I spend all day working on a patch. Like in FM, it takes me all day to work on a patch because it's so easy to make something sound really bad. But learning all this new techniques is really great because I just find myself sprinkling them in unrelated things. I'm confident now with what like low pass, high pass, and band pass filters sound like, and I've designed some. So I know one day I'm going to be crazy enough to start using parallel filters and phase nonsense with all pass filters in like a creative way, just to make things sound better in the mix. I don't know. That's an idea that I should bookmark. There's still a lot for me to learn about laptop and electronic music. I wouldn't even consider myself like a musician most of the time. I'm just messing around. But I think that with a laptop, a lot of my music tends to feel better because I can be really precise with all my frequencies and have like a really nice hyper produced end product. And that's at that moment when I got into microtonal music. Yeah, that kind of wrecked everything because I realized, wow, there's really a lot more to music than being right. Like, it's way easier and then cheaper than I thought. Like, I could just grab literally a cardboard box and just start hacking away at hitting it, or like hitting the keys on something or the strings on something, and it's still music. I've even gone down the path of getting like a bunch of hardware electronic instruments, and does that make me a better musician? No, but I'm just trying to fix it a little bit by not only practicing all my like normal acoustic instruments, but also practicing the electronic ones as well. I think like a monophonic synthesizer keyboard skills and classical piano skills, those are not exactly the same technique, but there's some intersection between the two. Knowing both is pretty helpful. And the thing about messing with synthesizers is that for like most of the time for me, when you're like caught in with those in like public, people get scared. And I think that's perfectly okay, or whatever it is Machiavelli said. Like, I'm just here laughing at my cool beeps of the future, and you can stay over there and be scared all you want. I don't care. I don't really have to even choose between making music digital or analog. I can do both, like any professional I know. Like, what's stopping me from just punching my bed cushion because the 909 sample pack kick is just not doing it for me? I don't know if punching my bed cushion will help either, but whatever. So my pieces sound a lot more me without the quantize or humanize buttons. I'm now at the point where I just play wrong notes or at a time, and I just leave it in because it sounds good sometimes. It's still music. I don't really look for a lot of expensive gear since this is kind of a hobby for me. And my studio doesn't look that cool because this is a hobby for me. It's more basic than any is right to be. Like, I've got a bookshelf with instruments. I have a mixing board connected to my desktop computer out of convenience because it has no internal speakers on it. All I do is I can just plug my anything into the mixing board, hit record, and I pretty much am done. That's actually how what you're hearing right now is recorded. And then when I'm done with that audio file, I just send it over to my laptop with all the crazy software, and I can mix it, master it, tweak it, warp it, do whatever I want with it.